Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the 1984th day of continuous and uninterrupted Zoom session of IFPS. Let us start today's program with a silent prayer for 1 minute.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Reza, please proceed.
Okay, sir. Good evening to all homeopathic doctors and students, and a warm welcome to our English session. This is our 1985 day of uninterrupted daily webinar of IFPS, and our today's guest is Vice President of IFPS, that is Dr. Saji, and his topic is related cancer. Hello.
Yes,
Hello,
audible. Yes.
sir, you can present your presentation. Dr. Saji Kudyar.
Yes. Thank you. Uh, yes, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. I'm Dr. Shaji Kudiyat. I am just an incidental presenter today because the doctor who is supposed to present is unfortunately unable to present today. So I am requested to present something on the new approach of cancer treatment I am giving. So it is really unexpected. Just 5 minutes, a few minutes ago, I was informed to present this presentation. So I have a small presentation regarding my way of cancer treatment. I will explain that to you for your understanding. Give me few minutes, so I will prepare that. I will open that slides.
Okay, no problem, doctor. Okay, please proceed. Meanwhile, the topic is intended to present today's breastfeeding benefits, challenges, and homeopathic management. That was the topic which was intended here. But what is the significance or relevance of this topic as far as homeopathy is concerned? Because we know that when the mother, the most suitable way of administration of medicine to sucklings is through the breast milk. So give the medicine to mother, then it will act more mildly, quickly, and beneficial. That is the discussion given by Master Hahnemann. I think no other systems of medicine is so much capable of addressing such problems faced by these mothers and the newborns as well as the infants. So homeopathy is very much concerned about the future citizens of the world, according to Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. Yes, Dr. Shaji. Yes, no, it's right.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. So
Yeah.
I am very sorry for this very short presentation. So I don't know if any one of you are aware that I am introducing a new method of cancer treatment called dynamic scientific approach. That is homeopathic medicine based and dynamic science guided. So DSA is called dynamic scientific approach. As I told you, it is homeopathic medicine based and dynamic science guided. So introduction to DSA treatment, reversing cancer naturally is the topic. And the DSA Global Medical Center is my center. We are globally functioning. So I hope you are visible to my, this is visible to.
Yes, yes, visible. Visible.
Okay. So this is this is my regular presentation to my cancer patients, which I give in regular manner to those who are check in for to understand what is my treatment. So this slide is for them. So all this is also for them. Okay, now the vision of introducing this new cancer treatment is to transform humanity and scientific world from a materialistic philosophical perspective to a dynamic or non-linear or holistic scientific philosophical perspective, drawing upon the new science called dynamic science. Dynamic science is my introduction that explains the science of holistic science, holistic medicine. which dynamic science actually explains how the mind, vital force, and DNA are interconnected. I am not going to the details today. This is just an initial introductory presentation only to understand how I manage my cancer patient, the philosophy of approach towards treating cancer in my perspective. So I'm not going to present the dynamic science in detail. It is just an initial understanding of what I do to my cancer patient, my philosophy of approach. So the objectives of this presentation is to explain what is wrong with the present cancer treatment, how DSA treatment can reverse cancer, advantages of DSA treatment and procedures of DSA treatment. So what is wrong with the conventional cancer treatment today? I don't know if any one of you are aware that the whole world treats cancer today without understanding how cancer develops. The entire treatment for cancer around the world in the mainstream medical science happens to just to destroy the tumor or remove the tumor associated with the cancer surgically or destroy it through chemo and radiation. And the problem is that even though they destroy the tumor multiple times, still it comes back. And you ever thought of why it is happening? Because the causes that produce the tumor from all possible dimensions are never identified and brought to the awareness of the patient and family and help the patient to get out of it. Merely by destroying the tumor, we will never be able to cure the patient. We may be able to show them the tumor is gone and misrepresenting or deceptively cheating them, telling you are cured. That is not true. In order to cure cancer, we need to understand there are abnormal, unhealthy mutations happened in the DNA that regulate the cell multiplication of the particular cells or tissues that grow into a tumor. So we need to identify the causes that lead to the changes in the DNA that abnormally mutated or abnormal epigenetic changes happened in that DNA that lead to the abnormal multiplication, that lead to the development of the tumor. Then only destroying or removing the tumor will remain beneficial and the patient will get completely cured. Unfortunately, that never happens in the mainstream cancer treatment today. So conventional treatments like chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery is only target to destroy or remove the tumor. The tumor often returns even after being destroyed or removed. So the root causes behind the tumor formation neither identified nor corrected. Chemotherapy, those who take chemotherapy, the danger is that weakens the immune system. Every chemotherapy is an immunosuppressant. And that suppression of immune system leads to advancement of cancer to far difficult to reverse stages, so especially to fourth stage. That's why once we do start chemotherapy, that will destroy our immunity. For example, if you develop a breast cancer, you may identify that you will get lymphadenopathy in the axilla. That is a kind of protection. The cancer cells spreading from the breast to the other tissues or other parts of the body are taken into custody by the lymph nodes who are protecting there from the spread of the cancer. That's why these cancer cells get multiply in the lymph nodes. Even though the lymph nodes give us information that it is affected, that is an indication of the tendency to spread the cancer, but still it is protected. The other parts will not get affected as long as the lymph nodes remain functional. But once we do chemotherapy, what happens is that the lymphatic system and the protective mechanism, the self immunity of our body totally become dysfunctional, and the causes that reverse the DNA into a mutated DNA that lead to the abnormal multiplication were never identified and rectified. So even after chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery, all the causes that lead to that problem remains. So cancer further develop, and lymph nodes will not be functioning due to chemotherapy and immune suppression. So it will easily spread to lungs, bones, brain, depends upon the nature of the cancer, and it will become a four-stage cancer very easily, except in blood cancer. So that is the most important danger of the chemotherapy. The radiation therapy often causes tissue hardening. If you subject a patient to radiation, it is they say it is targeted to the tumor only, but it is not yet possible to do like that. It will definitely affect and harden the adjoining tissues, and the flexibility of the tissues and the muscles also get lost. So the normal elasticity is lost, blood circulation become difficult. If it is thyroid, there is difficulty to swallow the food, and there can be keloid formation, and many other complications will come out of it. And cancer may recur or spread even after such a treatments also. So the advantages of DSA treatment. The most important advantages is it is homeopathic medicine based and holistic science guided, dynamic science guided. So no side effects. And the most important thing that we do is, because we begin our treatment with a group genetic counseling, that is a unique counseling technique we developed based on dynamic science that explains how the mind, soul, and or vital force and DNA are interconnected. So we will be able to bring to the awareness of the patient the different possibilities by which the DNA alteration or epigenetic changes then happen in the DNA. So by which we will bring to their awareness the complete set of components that constitute life, and and each one of its role in regulating our DNA. So such a explanation will really help us understand how cancer develops. And only if you know how cancer develops, then only we will be able to design a treatment that suits that patient. So that's the problem with the designing. When we treat cancer without not only cancer, any disease, without understanding how it develops. And also, DSA treatment helps in identifying and correcting the root causes from all possible dimensions. And in our dynamic science based research studies, we identified that each organs are connected to each emotions. Right breast cancer, if a patient had a right breast cancer, there is a particular reason, emotional reason that lead setting or settling that cancer to the right breast, that we can always see in all right breast cancer patients. Similarly, in left breast cancer, there is another reason. So each organs are connected to each emotions that we can always
Hello,
identify.
hello, sir. Excuse me.
Yes.
Sir, Dr. Hina maybe joined the session.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. Okay.
If she want to present her
Definitely.
presentation.
Definitely. 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 So
Ma'am, are you there? Uh,
yeah,
thank you,
Dr.
sir,
Hina
for
Shah
the
is there. Yes.
thank you, Dr. Saji, sir, for telling
Yeah.
us
Yeah. Yeah.
the advantage of DSA technique.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Now
Okay.
I'm inviting Dr. Hina Visa
Yeah.
for her today's presentation. that is breastfeeding and its benefits and challenges and its homeopathic management. Ma'am, please.
Dr. Hina, you are all right?
Yes, I'm okay. Just I
Okay.
reached home and
Thank you.
I'm extremely sorry for
No problem. No
delaying.
problem.
Okay.
Don't
Thank
worry.
you so
Thank you
much,
for
sir.
your arrival. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
your arrival. I was requested to replace you to talk something, so I just
Yes.
started something. You please continue, madam, please.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you.
I want to share my PPT.
Yeah, please proceed.
Huh. It is visible, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
it is visible.
Okay. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Sorry for delay in the session. So I'm Dr. Hina Shah, a professor HOD in the Department of OBG at the CVM Homeopathic Medical College, CVM University, Anand, Gujarat. And today we are going to discuss about the breastfeeding and which are the hurdles are coming in the way of the breastfeeding and how homeopathy wonderfully act for the hurdles or the difficulties which are coming in the way of the breastfeeding. So this we are going to discuss. So the breastfeeding is one of the God gifts given to the human being. So as we all know that when we are coming in the world, there are the certain things are already provided by God to us. And one of the thing which is provided by God to us is the mother's milk. Okay. Now, so first of all that we have to discuss what is the physiology of the lactation. So when we are discussing about the physiology of lactation is there are the 4 steps are there in the physiology of lactation. So first thing which is going to be developed, one is the mammogenesis. Second thing is the galactokinesis. And the third thing which is going to be happen is the galactopoiesis. And this all procedures, mammogenesis, galactokinesis, and galactopoiesis, after that the successful breastfeeding is going to be possible. So behind all this procedure of mammogenesis, lactogenesis, galactokinesis, and galactopoiesis, these all steps, the hormones are going to be responsible. So first of all that mammogenesis. So mammogenesis means the preparation of the breast. So there is a development of the breast during the antenatal period, and there is a development of the ductal growth, and there is a essential growth of the mammary gland during the pregnancy. This is going to be happen by the procedure of the mammogenesis. And after that the next thing is going to be happen is the lactogenesis. So lactogenesis is the secretion from the alveoli. The alveoli cells are now ready for the production of the milk. This procedure is known as the lactogenesis, and this procedure is going to be actually start on the 3rd and 4th day of the postpartum period. And behind this procedure certain hormones are going to be responsible. The main hormones which are going to be responsible, one is the steroid hormones, estrogen and progesterone, and apart from that the prolactin, insulin, and growth hormone is going to be responsible. And this procedure, this lactogenesis, is milk secretion to occur inside the breast. Now after that the galactokinesis. So in galactokinesis there is a
Excuse
oxytocin.
me, ma'am, slide is not moving.
Yes, just I am explaining the physiology, and after that I am going to
Okay,
explain.
okay, ma'am. You can continue.
Okay. So behind the galactokinesis, there is a oxytocin is responsible, and there is a discharge of a milk from the mammary gland. This is going to be developed by the suckling reflex of the newborn baby. And behind this, the oxytocin hormone is responsible. So galactokinesis is the process or the mechanism which expresses the milk from the alveoli into the ducts. Okay. Now the last step which is going to be happen is the galactopoiesis. Galactopoiesis means the maintenance of the lactation throughout the postnatal period and up to exclusive breastfeeding up to the 8th month. And this is going to be possible by two hormones, prolactin and the oxytocin. And this successfully going to be developed by the ejection reflex. So this 4 is the physiology behind the lactation. Now we discuss that when the breastfeeding is going to be started, the pediatric forum of the world is going to be suggested that the early initiation and exclusive and extended breastfeeding. So breast milk is one of the amazing substance that cannot be duplicated by any artificial means because of its unique composition and the function. So for the successful breastfeeding, certain things are required, and this thing is the practice, patience, and the persistence. And the pediatric forum is going to be encouraged for the exclusive breastfeeding to reduce the infant mortality rate. So how long the mother has to feed the baby? So pediatric forum is suggested exclusive breastfeeding. Nothing orally is given to the child up to the age of 6 months. Some are also insisting up to the age of 8 months, but ideal one is up to 6 months. Water is also not allowed orally. So this is about the exclusive breastfeeding, which is reduce the infant mortality rate. Now we discuss the composition of the breast milk. So composition of breast milk, 90% is the water, then it containing the fat, carbohydrate, protein, then it containing the vitamin, minerals, hormones, enzyme, and the stem cells. Now there are the stages of the development of the breast milk. So when after a labor, we have to start the breastfeeding. So when the normal labor is going to be happen within a half an hour, we have to initiate the breastfeeding. But when there is a cesarean section delivery is going to be happen to the patient, so after patient is gaining the consciousness, or when the patient is overcome from the effect of the anesthesia, we have to start the breastfeeding. So when the breastfeeding is started, the breast milk is having a different stages. And the first milk, which is going to be occur soon after the labor, is known as the colostrum. And this colostrum is our protecting. It is one of the things which protecting the baby throughout the life. So some of the communities or some of the peoples, they having a belief that the colostrum is not a good milk, but the colostrum is very rich in the antibodies. So this milk is provide a immunity throughout the life. So this colostrum is little bit yellow in a color and highly concentrated with the nutritions. Now another milk which is another stage of the milk which is going to be developed is the transitional milk. This is going to be developed after a labor 5 to 20 days. And it is the pale type of yellow in color or lighter yellow in color. And it is also rich in the nutrients. And this milk is also helpful for building the immunity of the baby. Now, after day 20, the milk which is secreted one is known as the mature milk. And this mature milk is the regular breast milk. and this is also unique in its composition and very rich in the nutritions. Now we have to discuss which are the benefits of the breastfeeding to the infant and the mother. And after that, we discuss which are the problems mothers are facing during the time of the breastfeedings. So benefits of the breastfeeding to the infant and the mother. So first we are discussing benefits of the breastfeeding to the mother. So first of all thing is that the breast milk is some of the mothers, they having the belief that I don't want to go for the breastfeeding. So we have to encourage the mother during the time of antenatal period about the advantages of the breastfeeding to her, so that she is prepared for the breastfeeding after a labor. So we have to explain a mother the advantages of the breastfeeding. So first thing is that there is a quick recovery after a childbirth and reduce the risk of the postpartum bleeding or the PPH. Second thing is that it is one of the emotional bond between the mother and the child. So feeling of attachment between mother and infant, and this is known as the rooming in. So when mother is doing the activity of the breastfeeding, the child is only recognizing a mother, and due to this there is a good bond relationship is going to be developed between the mother and the infants. And it also helps in the involution rate of the uterus, because during the pregnancy uterus is no longer a pelvic organ. The uterus has become the organ which is going to be come up to the level of the abdominal cavity. So this involution rate of the uterus means the uterus is regaining back its normal position, and it take a time of 1.5 months. So when the mother is doing a breastfeeding, this activity is going to be develop earlier one. So it helps in the involution of the uterus. Another thing is that there is an early return to the pre-pregnancy weight. So it also helps in the weight loss. Another thing is that it prevents the pregnancy absence of the menses. Lactational amenorrhea act as a natural contraception. So when mother is doing the exclusive breastfeeding, and due to this there is a development of the lactational amenorrhea, and this act as a natural contraceptive method. Another thing is that it also reduces the risk of the carcinoma of the breast as well as the carcinoma of the ovaries and osteoporosis. So long-term obesity, diabetes, hypertension, this all disease cannot be developed to the mother if she is going for the breastfeeding. Now we discuss which are the advantages to the newborn baby or the infant. So breast milk is ideal for the newborn baby. It easy to digest and it is the shield against the numerous health issues. So first of all, that the breast milk is the ideal in its composition. That's why it is easily digestible. And for each and everyone understanding, if we want to replace the breast milk, the another ideal milk one is the cow's milk. So in our India, we are consuming buffalo milk, but the cow milk is much better than the buffalo milk. Then breast milk is readily available at the room temperature and economical. So if anyone is going for the artificial feeding, so in artificial feeding, they have to face a problem of that. First of all, that they have to bring the milk, and after brought the milk, they have to boil it and make it cool one, and then they are able to serve to their newborn baby. So breast milk is readily available, easily available, and economical one, and at the normal temperature. We don't have to require to settle the temperature. Now another thing is that it also protects against the SID, sudden infant death syndromes, and it less likely to suffer. Those babies are on the breastfeeding, they cannot be suffer from the diarrhea, vomiting, Crohn's disease, and the URTI, upper respiratory tract infections. And it also the lower the risk of the type 2 diabetes, obesity, atopic dermatitis, eczema, etc. And their cognitive IQ is very high if the baby is the exclusively breastfed. And it also helps in the optimal growth and robust immune system development, and this IgA and IgM antibody. So these all are the advantages to the newborn baby. So during the time of the antenatal period, we have to guide a mother as well, for her advantages as well as the newborn baby advantages for the breastfeeding. Now we discuss which are the positions are ideal for the breastfeeding. So these also we have to explain the mother during the time of the antenatal period. So the position is the cradle position. Then another position is the cross cradle position. Another one is the football. Another one is the laid back position. And another one is the side lying. So these all are the positions which are commonly preferred by the mother. Now, this is the good latch. So I explain you the galactokinesis and galactopoiesis. So galactokinesis and galactopoiesis is only going to be happen with the good latch. If the good latch is not, that means the whole areola is going to be come inside the baby's mouth. Then the baby's nose is free. Then baby develop the good latch. Okay, so good latch is very, very important for the lactation. Then these are the wrong one, shallow latch and the deep latch. Now, when we are doing a breastfeeding, all the mother has to do the breastfeeding by both the breast, 5 to 10 minutes from the left breast and another 5 to 10 minutes from the right breast. Then only the milk secretion is the proper one, and it making the sense that the fore milk and the hind milk. So this is the fore milk. This in this slide it is visible what is the fore milk and what is the hind milk. So this fore milk and hind milk. So this hind milk is very rich in the nutrient as well as the IgA and IgM. So when the breastfeeding is done for 1 to 2 minutes on each breast, then there is no possibility of secretion of the hind milk. So mother has to require for the exclusive breastfeeding on both the breast, at least 5 minutes on each breast. So this provides a more nutrition as well as the antibodies to the newborn baby. Now, best practices and challenges in the breastfeeding. So first thing is that which challenges we are going to be faces. So WHO Forum is recommended that exclusive breastfeeding, early initiation of the breastfeeding, and proper skin to skin contact or the good latch. Another thing is that on demand feeding. So whenever the baby is hungry, so baby is giving a hungry sign only by a crying. So when the baby is hungry, each and every time the mother has to feed the baby. And also mother has to understand that not all the cry is for the hunger. Sometimes the baby is also suffering from the earache. Sometimes the baby is also suffering from the abdominal pain. And sometimes the baby is also suffering from the constipation or colic. So this all the things we have to keep in a mind, that all cry is not because the baby is becoming hungry. So this is the part of the best practices. Now, another thing is that after each and every act of the breastfeeding, mother has to do a burping of the baby. Okay. And this burping is very, very important. So mother has to take a baby on the shoulder and gently tap the back of the baby. And this going to be helpful for the burping of the baby. Another thing is that while the mother is doing a job or anything is there, the environment at the workplace must be supportive for encouragement of the breastfeeding. And for the successful breastfeeding, the thing which is required one is that the growth of the fetus is going to be double. So what is the weight of the baby at the time of the birth? This is going to be double after a 1 month if the mother is doing a good practice of the breastfeeding and the exclusive breastfeeding. Now we discuss which are the difficulties are going to be faced by the mother during the time of the breastfeeding. So first thing which is going to be difficult on the side of the mother is the latching problem. Then this latching problem, why it is going to be happen? So this latching problem is going to be happen because of the engorgement of the breast. Sometimes there is a crack and the fissures on the nipple and the areola is there. Another thing is that there is a development of the low secretion of the milk, or sometimes there is an absence in the secretion of the milk is there. And sometimes the mother is doing her job, and due to this there is a she is not able to do the activity of the breastfeeding to the her child. So these all are the difficulties which we are facing in the breastfeeding. And apart from that, certain medical complications are also there. So medical complications which commonly going to be faced, one is that there is a baby is having a premature birth, then mother is suffering from some of the illness like tuberculosis, HIV infection is there, and sometimes mother is very poor in health, sometimes the mother is suffering from the psychological disorders. And another thing is that sometimes the difficulties are coming on the side from the infant. So which difficulties we are facing on the side of the infant, this we discuss afterwards. Now another thing is that there is a mother is also suffering from the emotional stress, postnatal depression, etc. Okay. Now we discuss which are the breastfeeding problems, and for that how the homeopathy is going to be helpful. So first thing is that the problem is the breast engorgement. Second one is the cracked nipple and failure of lactation, means there is a development of agalaxia. So first we discuss there is a breast engorgement. So what is the breast engorgement? So breast engorgement means there is an exaggeration of lymphatic and venous congestion. This going to be occur during the time of the lactation or prior to the lactation, and it is the result of over distension of the breast with the milk, means the breast is full with the milk, and due to this there is a development of exaggeration of lymphatic and venous engorgement. So when there is a development of engorgement, what way the patient is complaining? So first thing is that the breast are become swollen, painful, and form in a consistency, and there is a redness over the ducts is there. And another thing is that there is a development of low grade of the fever, there is a malaise is there, and the patient is having a feeling of heaviness inside the breast, and the areola is become hard, and due to this the latching is not going to be possible, and the nipple is become flattened one. And also there is a development of the enlargement of the axillary lymph nodes. So these is the symptoms of the breast engorgement. And which are the causes why the breast engorgement is going to be happen? So there is a delay in starting of the breastfeeding. So I already explained you that in normal labor within a half an hour, and in cesarean section when the patient regain back its consciousness, immediately we have to encourage for the breastfeeding. So delay in the breastfeeding is one of the major cause behind the development of the engorgement. And another thing is that infrequent feeding. So infrequent feeding means sometimes the mother is doing a breastfeeding only on the left side of the breast or only on the right side of the breast, and not in the time duration only with one breast up to 5 to 10 minutes. And another thing is that there is a sudden stoppage of the breastfeeding is there. So mother has to go to join back her job, and she immediately stopped the breastfeeding, and after that she is suffering from the engorgement and reduce the intake due to the illness or the weaning. So what is weaning? Weaning is a condition when the child is switch over from mother's milk to the other food which is available one. So weaning is started with the Anprasanna ceremony in the India. So during the time of the weaning, majority of the women, they are suffering from the engorgement. Now, when the breast engorgement is going to be happen, what is the way of the development of breast engorgement? So first thing is that infrequent feeding leads to engorgement, poor latch, incomplete emptying, milk stasis, non-infective mastitis, and infective mastitis. This is the progress. So mastitis, breast sepsis, each and everything is one of the things which is going to be developed due to breast engorgement. So, what is the difference between the full breast and the engorgement? So, full breast are always hot, heavy, hard, milk flowing, no fever is there. And engorged breast are the painful, edematous, tight nipple, shiny, red. Milk not flowing, fever may be present. So this is the difference between the full breast and the engorgement. Full breast are always hot, heavy, hard, and no fever. And engorged breast are the painful, swollen. There is a fever is also present. Now we discuss how we can prevent. There is a development of the engorgement of the breast is there. So early initiation of breastfeeding, frequent feed, breastfeeding on demand, express milk if breasts are overfilled. So when the mother is not able to give a breastfeeding, but the procedure of the galactokinesis and galactopoiesis is already there. So there is a milk secretion is already there in the breast, and mother is not able to feed the baby due to the job. So in this criteria, the mother has to express the breast milk. And for the expression of the breast milk, there is a breast pumps are available in the society, which having the two types, manual as well as the electric one. And this breast milk mother has to store, and this breast milk mother can be stored up to the inside the food up to the 6 hours. Now, which are the homeopathic remedies are available for the engorgement of the breastfeeding? So homeopathic remedy, which is the best one, and I also can say this is one of the good remedy which can cover all the breast symptoms, is the phytoleca. So phytoleca is one of the remedy which is useful for the engorgement of the breast. And in this, this is the right-sided remedy. The breast is stony hard and it is purple in a color. And there is a cracks and ulcers are also going to be developed on the nipple. And the milk secretion which is there one, it is not a good one. It is very scanty and thick, and it is altered in the test. So phytoleca is one of the good homeopathic remedy for the engorgement of the breast or the mastitis or the breast sepsis. Another good remedy is the lac canium. So lac canium is generally useful for the complaints of the breastfeeding. At the time of the breastfeeding, mother is suffering from the pain is there, or sometimes there is a development of the mastitis is there, and mother has to always support her breast while she is walking or doing any type of the activity. This is the indication criteria for the prescription of the lac canium. So this pain is going to be washed by list of the jar. So any of the movement, the pain in the breast is become worse, and mother always has to hold her breast firmly to prevent this pain. So must support the breast. This is the indication criteria for the prescription of the laccanam. So laccanam is one of the good drug for the engorgement or mastitis. Another good drug is the bryonia. So bryonia is also one of the good drug for the heaviness of the breast as well as the stony hardness. So for stony hardness, there are the three medicines are there, Phytolacca, bryonia and the conaium. These three remedies are working good when the any patient is suffering from the mastitis or breast abscess and there is a development of the stony hardness inside the breast. These three are the remedies. And in case of the bryonia, the breast is very hot and the painful, and like laccanam, the patient has to support the breast. And always bryonia patient is better by the wrist. And bryonia is also the right-sided remedy. Now belladonna. So belladonna, when we are thinking about any of the inflammation, belladonna is always come there. So it is also one of the good drug for the mastitis. So I already explained you that the laccanam is also good one, bryonia is also good one, phytolacca is also good one. So how the belladonna you can prescribe, because belladonna is always coming for each and every inflammation conditions. So in this belladonna, while the patient is suffering from the mastitis or the engorgement, we can see that the visible veins are going to be seen on the breast. So this is the indication criteria for the prescription of the belladonna in case of mastitis. So here also the breasts are hard, red, heavy, and there is a throbbing type of the pain is there, and it also bursts from the least jar or the motion, and patient feels better by the pressure. And now the last drug, which is good one for the engorgement of the breast, and it also working good for the carcinoma of the breast also, and it is the conaium mac. And in conaium mac, the breasts are having a stony hardness, and in case of belladonna, there is a throbbing type of a pain. Here the pain is the piercing type of a pain, and patient is having a night pain. So this is the indication criteria of the conaium. But in conaium, there is also development of enlargement of the axillary lymph node. So when the mastitis is developed, and with the mastitis there is a development of enlargement of the axillary lymph glands are there, then the two drugs are there, phytolacca as well as the conaium. So this is about the mastitis or the engorgement. Now another conditions which is very common and which is one of the most difficult thing in the way of the successful breastfeeding is the cracked, sore and retracted nipple. So this common problem each and every lactating mother is going to be faced. And due to this, there is a no good latch, and due to no good latch, there is a development of the incomplete breastfeeding as well as the insufficient breastfeeding, and baby is always remaining crying all the day. Now, in case of crack nipple, which are the causes are responsible? So first one is that unhygienic habits of the patient. Another thing is that there is a retracted nipple and patient is suffering from the poor breastfeeding technique. So mother is not knowing what is the good latch. So I already show you the figure how there is a good latch is going to be developed. So in good latch, the whole areola is going to become inside the baby's mouth, and baby's nose is not going to be touched on the breast, and baby easily able to suck the breast. So this is the good latch. So poor breastfeeding technique is responsible, unhygienic habits, as well as there is a retracted nipple, and the difficulties which are going to be faced on the side of the fetus, that the baby is suffering from the oral thrush, means there is an infection inside the mouth of the baby, and due to this the baby is not able to suck the breast. Now we discuss that how we can prevent there is a development of crack and the sore nipple. So crack and sore nipple, when it is developed, first thing is that the mother has to maintain the hygiene. So when after each and every act of the breastfeeding, the mother has to clean the breast
Ma'am,
with,
excuse me.
yes,
Ma'am, I have a question. Ma'am, if a female have flat nipple, she has enough production of milk in the breast, but due to
yes,
flat nipple, she can't latch her child. So
latch
what
is
can
not
we do?
proper. The secretion is proper one, but
Yeah, yeah.
latch is not good one. So this is become the hurdle.
Hmm.
And for that we can take a help of the artificial nipple. But during the time of the antenatal period, we observe that the mother is suffering from the flat nipple. For that we have to advise a mother for the little bit massage, and due
Okay,
to
okay.
after massage the nipple, which is the retracted one or the flat one, this little bit increase in the size, and this solve the problem at the time of the lactation. Okay,
Okay, okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you, thank you.
welcome.
Can continue.
Okay, so crack nipple means mother has to maintain the hygiene. So hygiene maintenance means after each and every act of the breastfeeding, with the warm cloth the mother has to clean the breast, and this prevent some of the conditions of development like eczema or the infections to the breast. This can be prevented one. And another thing is that the mother has to teach, we have to taught her about the good latch and the proper support to the baby during the activity of the breastfeeding. Sometimes the mother breast is very big one. So during the time of the activity of the breastfeeding, the baby's nose is blocked, and due to this, the baby for each and every time for the breathe, the baby is uh, has to stop the breastfeeding, and again the baby is crying, and mother has to guide about the breastfeeding. So this type of the thing, proper baby support during the feeding is must, because sometimes mother is also sleeping and baby is doing a feeding, and this all the things are become a problem during the time of the lactation. And another thing is that for curing of the cracked nipple, the good thing is that the mother has to express the hind milk, and this hind milk mother has to apply on the breast and make it dry, and it itself going to be helpful in healing of the crack and the sore nipples. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for
Yes, yes.
and nice session. And
Okay.
lactation is a uh, golden period for the mother and the infant to develop the bond. Ma'am, if you can share one or two cases, we have 5 minutes left.
Okay, so first of all, that I want to explain you that for the crack and the retracted nipple, the good medicine is the calendula. So we can use a calendula external application for the crack and the retracted nipple. And another, which is the good medicine, is the castor equi.
Castor
This
equi. Okay.
yes,
And ma'am,
castor
what
equi.
about sarsaparilla? I have read
Yes, sarsaparilla
sarsaparilla
is
or
one of
some
sarsaparilla, retania is also there, falendrinum is
it's
also there.
an funnel
Dicandrite.
shape of the nipple, unexcitable,
Yes,
like this.
yes. So all these remedies are very wonderful, but best one is the calendula external application. And after that,
Okay,
the
okay,
castor equi is there. And the
okay.
last thing is that there is a development of the agalaxia. So our certain homeopathic medicines are acting as a galactogag. Galactogag means it helps in the secretion of the breast milk inside the breast. So the one of the best medicine which act as a galactogag is the Ricinus communis. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
experienced my practice that certain patients which having a problem of in her previous pregnancy, she doesn't develop the breast milk, and after that she consult me regarding the complaint of her agalexia during the time of the second pregnancy, and I prescribe a patient the Ricinus communis one, and this Ricinus communis increase the quality as well as the quantity of the breast milk. And another good drug which is the galactogag one is the Medusa. So Medusa is the drug when there is a history of absence of a breast milk in all her previous confinement, and when we are using a Medusa, this helpful in successful breast milk secretion is there. And apart from that, there is a Agnus, Asafoetida, Urtica urens, Galaga, lecithin. These all are very good drug for the complaint of the agalexia. So certain mothers are also coming in a practice with the complaint of the agalexia. So for agalexia, our homeopathic drugs are wonderfully acting. And some of the mothers nowadays, the pregnancy is going to be developed after the age of 30 or 35 years, as well as the all pregnancies are the chemical pregnancies, as well as the patient is taken a treatment of IVF, and patient is suffering from the so many other complications due to this, like a hypothyroidism. So hypothyroidism is one of the conditions. This can lead to the development of the agalexia. So for all these type of conditions, our homeopathic medicines are working good. So for that, first we have to try the Ricinus communis or Medusa, or we can try the Asafoetida or Agnus on the patient. And this is going to be helpful for solving the complaint of the agalexia. Okay. Now, any questions are there from your side, doctor?
Anyone have any question? They can raise hand or send their message in the chat box. We have 2 minutes left. Ma'am, I have one question. Some ladies complain of back pain due to continuous breastfeeding or
Yes,
due to exclusive breastfeeding. So,
yes. This is
what
because
can we do in those cases?
yes. Why the mother is suffering from the back pain? Because during the time of the lactation, the mother demand of the calcium is much more higher than the during the time of the pregnancy. Because all the calcium from the mother is goes to the fetus through the lactation. So mother is become calcium deficient. So mother is required the calcium rich diet as well as the supplements. So for that type of patients, we can put this patient either on the 5-FOS, or either we can put this type of a patient on the Calcarea FOS. And this is going to be solve the problem of this backache. Okay.
Okay, right, ma'am. Now, just we have our time is just over, ma'am. Thank you and very
Okay.
congratulations for this session. And we invite you for another session about women complaint and self-care about women.
Yes,
And
yes, definitely.
now we are requesting to the Malayalam team to take the charge of the next session, Malayalam session. Thank you, a very thank you and congratulations to Dr. Hina Sang.
Thank you, Dr. Rachita Tripathi. And thank you so much, IFPH, for inviting me for this wonderful international webinar session and providing me a platform for sharing my knowledge of the breastfeeding, as well as how wonderfully the homeopathy is working for these conditions. Okay. So thank you so much,
Thank you, ma'am.
for
Yes.
providing the platform.
This is Dr. Mariam, Dr. Mariam, please, sir.